Yeah, so what we've done is Simon Rowley wasn't able to join us live, so we've done this as a video. We're going to play you the video. We don't think there's any difference between that and us doing it live. In actual fact, it's better because we had more chance to think about the questions and get the timing, etc. Um, what we are going to be able to do though, which is really good, is while you've got questions, if you put them in the chat, don't bother putting them in the question and answer bit because then only we can see them. We're not bothered about moderating questions. Put them in the chat, then everybody can see them, and Dave, Peter, and myself will do our best to try to answer those as they're coming up, and that way everybody gets access to those questions. The original activity that we did with Simon is about 37 minutes long. We're going to put a link into the original video, so you're going to be able to see that straight after. You won't have to wait for all of these ones to be published. And with that, I'll send it over to Luke. We'll turn our microphones off and we'll let you start the video, Luke, please.
Thanks, Dave.
So thanks very much for joining us at the 2025 Lean Global Connection. For the next 30 minutes, Dave Marriott, Peter Watkins and I are joined by Simon Rowley, who heads up Toyota's Lean Management Centre, TLMC, in the UK. And we're going to discuss Lean at Toyota, but more specifically, what you're going to see and do if you attend the Lean Practice Day next April. In a nutshell, we're going to spend the time today talking about Lean using some generic questions. All of you can apply to your situation. We're going to use these questions to discuss the framework and to discuss what Toyota does, and more importantly, what you'll be able to see. Brief introduction about LEA. We have a simple purpose. We're not for profit, established to help customers become self-reliant on their lean journey. At LEA, we have three core value streams. These are learning, teaching and coaching and sharing. And in learning, we've done a number of pieces of research and experiments with the aim of self-reliance. Most notably, we've been using the Lean Transformation Framework to structure these, but we also turn research into teaching and coaching processes, and we've developed an online learning platform offering learning materials and processes a company can employ to develop self-reliance. The purpose of the LTF, which is our framework, is to provide a structure for self-reflection. That reflection begins with aiming first for self-understanding, and from there the reflection progresses to an analysis of the gap between one's current and desired states. Self-reflection is helpful to avoid the most common directly addressable failure mode that we found, what we call the hammer looking for a nail, or copy and apply the tool approach that seems rampant in organizational efforts to use lean. Instead, we need an approach that articulates what to do, why we should do it, and how we can do it in our unique situation. So before we get into the detail of the LTF questions, I'll let Simon talk about TLMC and Toyota.
Yep, thank you, David. Yeah, and good afternoon also, everybody. And yeah, thank you for inviting me to join your event. Just a quick explanation of Toyota Lean Management Centre. From now on, I will call it TLMC for time's sake. So the TLMC, we've got two offices. We're based here. I'm based here at the vehicle manufacturing plant, and you can see there I have a team of 10 members. Actually, just recently expanded to 11 members working at Burnaston, and where we make the engines at our Deeside plant, we also have another team there. These are very experienced Toyota members, ranging from team leader to section manager, who have basically gathered a huge amount of manufacturing experience over nearly 3 decades, and we are supporting other enterprises across UK and into Europe with their lean journey. And what is it we're offering? We'll get more into the detail throughout this discussion, but just to give you a flavour of what we offer, we're taking the Toyota Production System, TPS. I think everybody knows what that is. You can see online what that is, and then we're combining it with the Toyota way, which is, our core values and how we behave as a team. And what we're doing is we're showing how we develop people and processes, and how that ultimately helps develop the organization. And we can offer our clients of TLMC how we apply those to develop those better processes, people and organisations.
Yeah, so what are we proposing to do for 2026 in terms of our annual summit, and also, more importantly, the Lean Practice Day with TLMC? We've been collaborating with TLMC, particularly on the site visits or the tours, since about 2018. Part of our reflection was that really that was only limited to sort of 38 kind of people initially at Deeside, and then we managed to expand that to the vehicle manufacturing plant in Burnaston. So really, we wanted to try and increase the exposure of people to see what Toyota do. But also we wanted to expand the kind of knowledge and understanding around the lean transformation framework and the questions, so that people can, as we said, self-reflect on what they've seen, digest that, and then apply that to their situation. So what did we do? We made an A3 in the spirit of lean thinking and practice. What's the kind of purpose? So it's an activity, it's not a tour. Hopefully you'll see lean in action, and Simon will share some of that later on. So CTPS firsthand, learn the right questions to think about and ask. So explore the LTF, or Lean Transformation Framework. We'll be doing a lot of activity at the Gemba, so not in a classroom based around PowerPoint, but actually you'll be doing a lot of going, seeing and understanding. But then hopefully you'll be able to reflect on what you've seen and start to diagnose your own situation. So we've also developed a diagnostic for you to use, which will hopefully put into context some of the stuff that you'll see during the Lean Practice Day. And as I said, you know, it's not a passive tour, it's hands-on, activity-based chance for you to see and understand the thinking behind the questions and how Toyota, you know, has applied that in terms of TPS, and also your chance to actually ask questions to further your understanding. So in terms of the Lean Practice Day, the slides will follow this format, and this generally is the format of the day. So at a high level, we'll explain that, you know, the thinking way behind those 5 questions, and then what you'll see is really how TPS kind of helps to address some of those questions in terms of Toyota's approach, Toyota UK's approach. So the first question that we've got here is value-driven purpose, and what problems are we trying to solve? And really what we're trying to get people to think about here is, do people understand, you know, what's the purpose of the organisation? Are they aligned in terms of, you know, where the organisation is going and the strategy in order to achieve that, so that everybody right through the organisation understands what value they are trying to deliver, and more importantly, therefore, what problems do they need to solve at their level. So that whole first piece is all about that alignment. The second piece is then to say, okay, if we're handing off problems to people to solve, then how do we go about tackling those problems? So different problems at different levels are going to require slightly different approaches. So you know, how do we make sure that people have the right thinking way in terms of tackling those problems at their appropriate level? What are we expected to see in terms of how Toyota UK thinks about that question?
Thank you, David. Yes, I think the first thing to say is obviously Toyota UK is part of a much bigger organisation. Whether we're talking regional within Europe, we're one of 6 manufacturing plants sharing vehicle and engine production in Europe, and of course we belong to Toyota Motor Corporation, who look after our global activity. And it's important that, you know, as the graphic says, that we're vertically aligned. You know, we're aligned with our global missions of, you know, zero carbon. We're aligned with our sort of European regional directions relating to recycling material. And of course, you know, in terms of our local challenge here at Team UK, we're aligned with what's specifically happening in this country. So it's important that we're vertically aligned. And then once we have that vertical alignment across, you know, between global, region and plant, as I said, we're one of 6 plants, but even in our own plant, it's important that, you know, we embody manufacturing, paint, you know, manufacturing and assembly, and all of the other people linked to Team UK. There are other departments here at Team UK and our suppliers that we're also equally aligned. So this vertical and horizontal alignment is pretty key. And what it means is that we all have a common challenge. and we're clear on that. And how are we doing that? Of course, everyone is aware of Hoshin Cannery. So Hoshin Cannery is our sort of go-to tool for making sure that that common challenging is clear to all. Hoshin Cannery, direct translation is obviously direction management, and that's important. It's about direction setting. It's not about giving the solutions to those common challenges. But what is very good here at Toyota UK is the way that's clearly communicated. Every member in our organisation has an opportunity to hear the Hoshin. It's not sort of stuck on a wall in the back of, a sort of managing director's office. It's very clearly communicated to the members. And Toyota UK will actually stop the line in the new year, within the first couple of weeks of the new year, so that the senior management team can brief every member on that Hoshin Cannery direction. And as I said, it's about direction management. So it's really important that you give space for the organisation to develop their own activities. You're not handing down an activity plan. You're saying, this is the direction we want to move in. Honestly, can all of the top bosses know all of the solutions to every problem that's out there? No, they don't, but they can certainly help give direction and then leave space for the organisation to develop their own activities. And then, as I say, the problem solving can be across the range. It could be a very complex company problem through many divisions, or a problem that hasn't found a solution. We haven't found a solution for a number of years. We have a very high level practical problem solving tool called Toyota Business Practice here, which sort of trains guys to find that solution. Or it just needs something happening at the group level, where we can use very simple practical problem solving approach, PPS. But whether it's TBP or PPS or some other problem solving tool, it's still fundamentally saying, where are we trying to get to? What's the gap? Let's gather the data. Let's understand the point of cause and establish root cause and 5 whys, and develop countermeasures and see them through implementation. So direction comes from the Hoshin Cannery. Everyone's aligned on it, clearly communicated, and people are given space to develop their own activities within that Hoshin Cannery process. Yeah, and Dev, if you go around and you see them, what you will see as well isn't they're not all the same. Whilst we've got a high level Hoshin may look very familiar, the divisions and the management team in there are allowed to sort of almost develop their own methodology for doing it. Within the space of making sure that there's an activity, supporting the Hoshin Cannery. It's great for setting personal objectives as well. You can say, this is what company needs to achieve this year. You can add them to your middle management team and say, please develop an activity plan for this time. So yeah, it's much more than just this is the way we're going. It's a great opportunity to develop your organization.
Okay, yeah, so we're on to the second higher level question. How do we design, do and improve the actual work? So in this is really making sure that we understand the current state today, what the work is, or if it's a new process, we need to design it from scratch. And how do we get that to be stable? And also then move on, more importantly, to improving that towards the goals and targets. As Simon mentioned before in the Hoshin, we want to improve the work towards those. So Simon, same sort of question again, if we go around Toyota, what we're going to see around actually doing the work and improving the work.
Well, hopefully what you'll see is you'll hopefully see any Toyota plan fully utilising the Toyota production system to eliminate those 3 M's. And those 3 M's there, as I've indicated there, Mura, Muri and Muda. And I've split them like this so you can see really where the responsibility, I think, sits within the organisation. So Mura and even as Muri overburden. The responsibility to avoid that definitely sticks with the management team. Are we doing TAC-based production? Have we got Hey Junker? Are we setting up the operation? Basically the members, on the line, whether they're making engine or cars to succeed. So without TAC-based thinking, without Hey Junker, then you're already going to struggle as an organisation to achieve a smooth, continuous output. And then from a manufacturing side, what can the members and the process designers and the Gemba management, what can they do? Well, they need to focus on those 7 wastes, and the best tool for doing that is have standardized work. Develop those consistent, reliable, repeatable processes. We take a long time actually before we actually start making a vehicle to make sure that we've designed processes that don't have those mudas built into them. Times change, people get better, but you can find mudas later on as the processes become more mature. But by having that consistent, reliable and repeatable process, we're doing our best to assure safety, both from almost an accident safety, but also from an ergo safety. for our members. We're assuring that quality, follow the standardized work. You should be able to achieve quality first time in everything you do. And it gives us the flexibility, and that refers back to the customer driven idea from the first half of this slide, where we need to be flexible to customer demand. If the customer wants more cars, we need to speed up, we need to add processes. If the customer need less vehicles, then we need to be able to slow down and take out processes in order to maintain our efficiency. But most importantly, why do we do all this? It's the foundation for Kaizen. So, you know, we want our members constantly engaged in Kaizen. You can only Kaizen from a known point, which you get from your standardized work. Anything before that is just practical problem solving. It's just getting back to standard. But once you're achieving that standardized work consistently, then you're in a great place to do your Kaizen activity.
Let's move on to the third question then, which is all about capabilities to be able to do that. Yeah. So how do you develop the capabilities we need? And the capabilities we're talking about here is for the organisation. What does the organisation need? And also for the individual. When we talk about capabilities, we need to talk about skills, development of those capabilities in the organisation, and going through the various skill levels, not just training, but actually that progression through 4 skill levels. And who does that development of people and leaders, their involvement in that, and having some plans and activities in place to be able to do that. Can you talk a little bit about how Toyota do this?
So at Toyota, we've developed a member development system called the Floor Management Development Style, FMDS for short. Everything's got a lovely acronym here. And what is the purpose of FMDS? And it's, as you say, Peter, now everybody has got a part to play. You know, whether it's, you know, your team members, your operators, or whatever you call them, you know, they are the most important people. You know, they're making whatever it is you're making, whatever your enterprise is doing. So understanding what they need to do their job every day, you need to be clear on that. And then as you move through your organization, through team leader, group leader, section manager, and all the way through, you know, well, what is the expectation as you move through those roles? So what's the minimum job role you need to do? The focus is very much on Gemba coaching. So, you know, from the moment you arrive, once you've had your time in the dojo, which is a sort of 1 week fundamentals training area, you go to the shop floor, and very much you're being trained by a professional, experienced member and a team leader who's going to help you learn a process. And then that kind of idea just rolls on, you know, through your development. And a very important part we play here in terms of making sure that the succession planning works, that, you know, we don't have these gaps between team member to team leader to group leader, or when somebody new gets the job and you kind of have to worry if they're going to be able to cope. We've got a great program here of pre-promotional training. So once a gap's been identified in the organization, you're looking through, you know, the team members who's going to make the next best team leaders. It shouldn't be a surprise. You're already collecting all that information. You do a pre-promotional training plan. They get some more mentoring as they go through that. So when the opportunity to become team leader finally arrives, you know, that they are really able to hit the ground running. Most newly promoted team leaders would have had a chance to stand in as team leader before they reach that point. So Gemba focus coaching and pre-promotional training is really, really important. I spoke there also about, you know, recognition of future challenges. One of them is succession planning. You know, you know, people are constantly leaving your organization, you know, whether they're a, you know, whatever kind of organization. Here at Toyota, we think we're a great organization, but people leave, they, you know, they find new opportunities. So we need to be ready for that, and succession planning is one of them. But, you know, as we sit here now, we have to think about future challenges. Toyota is a very experienced, Toyota UK especially, very experienced organization. You know, we have a retirement risk. We need to understand what those future organization gaps, and of course new technology, we're learning almost every day of some new wonderful AI gadget that's going to help us all, but we need to think about how to deploy them so it helps people, and we just don't go technology mad because it's there and we want to use it. How will it best support our members? You know, some of the things we're doing now, of course, as I already mentioned once, we're super slick on our succession planning. We know it's important to transfer knowledge. Whilst we've got all this new things coming in, you know, we've got 34 years nearly here experience of making cars. It's important that those people at the more mature end of our organization are transferring that knowledge over to the younger generation, and we're very good at benchmarking. Toyota UK has no shame in looking at what's best out there in the marketplace, particularly in manufacturing, going and having a look and saying, well, actually that's a little bit better than we do it. We should, we should apply that here at Toyota UK. So that's the way we approach our sort of, making sure everyone has the opportunity to get the best experience while they're working for Toyota.
Yeah, so Simon, there's a lot discussed and available on the development of management systems. So in the LTF, there's this question that can be split into two. Firstly, what management system, and then secondly, what behaviours are required to work in a lean way. And we recognise that effective management systems ensure performance is achieved, keeping the trains running on time, but they combine stability and small improvements, the Kaizen, with some step changes, the Kaikaku. So what are we going to see and learn from looking at Toyota's management system and the behaviours that you promote when we do the practice day?
Yeah, thank you, Dave. I honestly could have filled slides and slides of visualization here, but I thought I'd try and just make it as simple as I could, and sort of these 3 steps, and I think they sort of more match there what you had in the LTF. First of all, we have to be able to see there's a problem, and we've got something called abnormality at a glance, AAG. Everyone's got an acronym, but how do we know when something's wrong? We're very big on process fundamentals. Can we spot when something isn't in the right place? And the simplest tool for this, of course, is just 5S. And I think people see 5S as a way of just keeping things tidy, but actually they're a great indicator of something that's not right. So when you go to the processes, the flow rack in the right place, or the things that the members need all of the time to do their process, are they in the right place to help them do it? So what are the tools that you can go to the shop floor and say that something's wrong? Andon, of course, is a great thing. So Andon at Toyota UK, everyone knows, or Andon in Toyota world means pull a cord, press a button, red light will come on, team leader will come and help you. That's what it physically means here at Toyota. But what does it mean in your organization? Does everybody have the ability to put their hand up and say something's wrong, please come and help me? So and then Toyota, it's a great question that people ask us, and a great comment. Is team leaders worth it? It's a lot of your organization. The principal role of a team leader is to identify the abnormality at a glance and help the members be able to do their job every day, their process every cycle. So we believe that having someone to manage that abnormality in real time is really, really important. Then how to visualize the opportunity. So you collecting all that wonderful Andon data, but what do you do with it? You need to collect it, you need to be able to stratify, you need to be able to use it to solve problems. So making slim and simple KPIs. Lots of people are kind of obsessed with lots of KPIs, loads of KPIs, lots of KPIs, big walls and walls of KPIs. Keep it simple. What are the headline KPIs? And more specifically, especially when you get down to team and group level, what are the ones that they can influence? There's no point telling them about the cost of a car when they're only using the gloves. So, really make it mean something to them so that they can do something about it. And then that leads you to the next one then, which is then they can solve their own problems. And we talked before about how to develop practical problem solving and how Hoshin Canry will help you do that. Well, here's another way that we can help our team and our team members become problem solvers by keeping it slim and simple and mean something to them. And then the last step of that, I think, is how do we support as management? Now we've got Genchi Genbutsu, go to the place where things happen. It's really important that your management team get out there, use the top 2. They can see when something's wrong. They should be able to, just as the team leader and the group leader, go to the shop floor and say, I can see why my members are struggling. But you need to go to the shop floor. You do that. You definitely can't do it from your desk. Break through those bottlenecks. There will be many occasions of all those problems that you've found where the team members, the team leaders, the group leaders just can't fix it on their own, and they need your help. And that's where, again, management can break through those bottlenecks and provide the correct resources. And more often than not, it's not money. It's just time, it's people, it's the right knowledge, it's the right person there, just to make that breakthrough and solve that problem, just to keep that momentum going of we're fixing problems every day, we're in charge of our own problem solving. We don't need to rely on everyone else. And ultimately, this is what we're aiming for. Everyone is a problem solver. There are 2,500 people here at Toyota UK. We don't need a special engineering or QA function of problem solvers. We do for those big technical problems, but they're less than 10% of your problems. Just get everyone on the shop floor engaged in problem solving, and you'll solve a whole lot of problems. So this is our mission here is to make everyone a problem solver.
And then the last question is obviously this piece around basic thinking and mindset. You know, at Toyota, you have the Toyota way. So can you explain what, why, and how? You know, what we're going to see. What's the why behind the Toyota way, and the how? You know, what is it, and what does it look like, please?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think I don't know whether you'll see it or feel it more, or you know, or get an impression of it happening. So, you know, the Toyota way is, you know, is our values as members, as an organisation, and I've written them up there as it was in 2001. And actually, you've heard a lot of these words. Actually, I've already said, you know, so. You know, common challenge, opportunity for Kaizen, go to the Gemba, Genshi Genbutsu, respect for development, and how to create that teamwork. So you will see that happening. Hopefully, you know, if you're not many people are here in the morning, but if you're here for the first 2 hours of a day in the morning, you know, you will not find many people sat in the manufacturing office. Almost everybody will be down at the Gemba, and what they'll be doing, they won't just be walking around to be seen. They will be watching the process, talking to team leaders, checking out what yesterday's biggest problem was. It may be just going to the line and just thanking a member who's come up with a great safety Kaizen last week and just taking the time to do that. So I think you'll probably feel it more than you'll see it, but you'll find you'll definitely see evidence of that. And then just to say, you know, I already mentioned that the world is changing rapidly, and you know, the modern generation, the Z generation, the Alpha Gen, you know, I think they have the same values, but they have different words that kind of trigger those values in them. So what even Toyota recognizes that, you know, we need to change with the times, and what we're using now is, as you can see there, the sort of 10 behaviors of the 2020 Toyota way is like, you know, these are words that were definitely appealing to the modern generation values. But again, whether it's the old-fashioned, the 2001 or the 2020, it's more important that you see people behaving in that way. So hopefully you'll get to see that. And I think I've just got this little illustration down the bottom here, because I think people come here and they sort of say, yeah, you've got that culture, you know, Toyota, you know, you have that culture thing. It takes a lot of hard work, you know, and it has taken a lot of work, well, a long way even before my time. You know, the Toyota way came around in 2001 to support Toyota's globalization, but it goes all the way back to, you could almost argue, the 1930s, and Kichiro Toyoda-san's way that he wanted the company to run. And how we behave creates this culture that people are on about. So there's continuous improvement and respect for people. And I already talked about FMDS, and FMDS makes sure that our organization is developed to maintain that culture. So, you know, it's a lot of hard work. And what we always tell people is, anyway, we have Toyota, we have FMDS, we have TPS, as you can see here in the model. What are those versions in your company? You know, how is it you're going to do things? How are you going to develop your organization, and what values are you embedding in your organization as you go through that development? And hopefully, I said, you might not see it, but hopefully you'll feel it when you come to Toyota, that there's such an onus on how we develop our people and how we develop what they do. And at the end of it, of course, we make cars and hopefully we make a profit. But it's about what we do and developing the people.
Just to wrap up with a quick ad. So we've given people this helicopter view of TPS and the LTF questions. If we want to apply, I don't know, good lean, we need a way of diagnosing the current situation and a diagnostic to reveal our own gaps to close. The idea is to basically explore the LTF, reverse engineered from the common failure modes, go to the Gemba, discover how Toyota avoids these failure modes, and then identify gaps in their own approach, and then a plan to close them. For those that want to go and see and do, and not just learn some theory, it's a unique opportunity. You can attend the practice day on the 28th or the 30th, either side of the UK summit. The idea is to look at what Toyota does through the lens of these 5 questions. You know, how does the most successful lean organization avoid the most frequent failure modes? And if we ask what Toyota does to define value-driven purpose, identify the key problems to solve, we can see what we do in our organisations to answer those same questions. Then we can reflect to work out the gaps we need to close for our unique situation. So people can sign up to the event on our website. We planned only 144 places, and they are selling pretty fast. 25% of those tickets have already sold. We don't want you to be disappointed, but we'd love to see you there. It's a unique opportunity, and thanks very much for the time on the LGC. So, hope you enjoyed that. It's 4 o'clock. You might be leaving to go to another session, but if you do have any questions, we've tried to answer as many as we can as they've come up, but just type them in the chat and we'll stay on a couple more minutes, and we'll try and answer as many as we can. Yeah, Sean, yes, we will be in attendance as we're doing this day together. So we're going to be sharing the LTF part of this. We're also going to be sharing the diagnostic. And so basically you'll get a chance to go and take a look at all of those things, all those areas that Simon talked about around the 5 dimensions. But then actually there's a series of activities for the people that come to those practice days to actually take a look at the diagnostic and then start their process of thinking, okay, so we've seen this at Toyota, this is what we do, what are the actual gaps in our approach? We got any other questions?
Right, Stephen had a good one. I just answered it to him. It was about the LTF questions of the high level thinking, and Toyota's TPS system and their business system, you know, is their unique approach and answer to those questions. Yeah, John Shook developed the LTF, who was from Toyota, and what he was saying, you know, is that companies trying to copy and paste Toyota's TPS, it's very difficult. Yeah, so he's reversed engineered that with these questions to get people in a simple way to start thinking how they should apply lean thinking and practice and avoid the failures that they've just talked about. Yeah.
There's a question there from Keith is quite interesting, which is there an element in your recruiting strategy that allows you to find the best people to add to your team and fit within your culture? So I could probably speak firsthand because I used to work at Toyota UK for about 13 years. Yes, there is a selection process. There are certain criteria that they're looking for in people. So those are not necessarily specific kind of skills, but more general mindsets, and there's various activities that they'll do. If you're going to be working on the line, there's actually some kind of dexterity test that they'll put the people through, because they don't want to be hiring people that, you know, can't do the work, and then that's going to cause anxiety and it's, you know, disrespectful. So yeah, certainly there is a kind of criteria and a process that they will follow in order to recruit the people that are the best fit, but also they can, you know, develop and sort of bring into the Toyota family. So yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, okay. We've got one from Andreas as well. So I've already put the answer, Luke, to Mark's one in the chat at the high level, the alignment of the enterprise strategic objectives, etc., and really reiterated what Simon was saying about direction, also about alignment horizontally and vertically, cross-functionally, across the organization, and then thinking about the big problems and thinking about then turning those problems into gaps to close.
Breaking them down and
breaking them down, because you can't
people
do
understanding
everything.
what they can contribute, isn't it? What's their
Yeah.
contribution in order to delivering and creating the value at the highest level? And it's really important that you make that connection to people. Otherwise, you know, they're just doing stuff for stuff's sake, and therefore, if you don't understand the why, it'll never sustain.
Yeah, that's right.
Which kind of answers Andrea's question, doesn't it? Yeah. The
Yeah.
starting point isn't people and process. It's the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
So you need to build your whole approach around solving those business problems. Yeah. So then there's a purpose behind it and the why, like Dave said. Yeah. In lots of companies, we're rolling out lean programs and training without that connection to the purpose. Yeah. And the problems to solve. Yeah. And specifically doing the activities you need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to get approached by organisations saying we want training on 5S, or we want training on value stream mapping, or business process improvement, or whatever. And our first question will be: is what problem are you trying to solve? Why do you think that's going to be the solution to that problem? So our fundamental starting point with whoever we engage with is basically, well, what problem are you trying to solve? Then we can work out what's the best thing to do in terms of solving that business problem, but developing your people at the same time. That's the trick. That's the secret sauce, is getting those two things done at the same time.
Yeah. And Daniel's kind of built on this in the questions thing. He said, we don't wish to pursue a tools-based approach or bring solutions and then look for problems. So where do we start in a typical American company where management thinks that they do lean, but they haven't worked on the management system? What I would say is that basically you've got to look at these 5 dimensions together. And that's really the insight that John gave us with the lean transformation framework. If you miss out any one of those 5 dimensions, your ability to implement becomes unbalanced. It becomes out of kilter. So it's really important to have a good spread of activity on each one of those 5 dimensions. And it's not just the management system. The other thing to be thinking about is what the underlying thinking actually is. Because if you don't tackle this piece that Simon was talking about the values and about the behaviours and the underlying assumptions, then equally there's a high likelihood that there's going to be issues. So that was that question, and then the last one that's in the open questions on the Q&A is: do you see the same lean principles applied in IT? I haven't done in TM UK. I haven't done any work or seen anything of IT at TM UK, but obviously Pierre Massai's been on this in this particular session now, and I think he's got a talk a bit later on. So if you wanted to have a look at some of Toyota's view about IT, then go and take a look at what
I think Simon alluded to the approach and the thinking, Dave, when he was saying about the AI and new technologies, and that.
Of course, yeah.
They're certainly looking and they're benchmarking at that. But from my experience, it was always use IBM, which is it's better manual to do that first before you start to automate. So they were very clear about what problem were they trying to solve with whatever level of automation. But there was always PDCA, the plan they do, they check it, make sure that they got the process straight before they then went to automation. And see that time and time again in their kind of thinking and their approach is, really be quite cautious in terms of spend most of your time on the planning before you do the execution. So it's like 80-20. 80% of your time is on the planning, 20% is on the actual execution. So proceed with caution would be probably, from my experience, of what I've seen when I was there.
Yeah, because AI is a tool, isn't it? And you need to think about why you need to use it and what problems you need to solve with it, and experiment around that.
Yeah, so Sean's just asked about thoughts on Power BI taking over performance boards. I think Terry O'Donoghue was on this thing as well here, and one of the things that I learned from working with Terry is the power of the pen and watching people's eyes as the things get marked up. People engage with what they co-create, And so if you design these management processes and management meetings, the team meetings, where basically people are looking at their performance and actually using the pen, you get far more engagement than just having the number. So wherever possible, try and think about that as a way to engage people. But then again, but it does depend on the situation. If you've got a remote team, then it's relevant to have those those performance indicators electronically.
Yeah, Toys have got that. They've got Power BI systems and production control room. It's all automated about how many vehicles and the OPR, the DPV, everything's available. I think just take Simon's comments about, the Power BI. It can be analysis paralysis and KPI overload because you can measure flipping everything. So what are your slim and simple KPIs that you really need to manage to get the right results? Make those relevant to the people that are doing the work. And the key point about the performance board is should drive problem solving. All too often we see all these fancy boards, lovely displays, and there's no problem solving. So it's just meaningless. It's just wallpaper at the end of the day. So you've got to connect. That is a trigger. You've got an abnormality, and it should trigger problem solving to get you back in the green. That's the whole point of that.
Well, people, Dave, even trying to problem solve in their performance reviews, instead of saying where we are with the problem solving, they're trying to actually solve problems, and then drilling down using BI boards to do that, and that's not what a good, performance review needs to be quick. Did we solve the problems from yesterday? Did we not? Do we need to escalate? Do we need to do some more problem solving activity outside the meeting? So it's how you use it.
We could go on for hours about the daily management stuff and how confusing that is being made. That some of the stuff that is out there is just plain wrong in terms of what we observe the best companies doing. But in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So it's a bit of a problem, really. So
yeah.
But this whole piece around performance reviews and stuff, what would be really great is actually people showing on video some of those good performance meetings, and then being able to deconstruct the behaviours that are actually things that we want to focus more on, and eliminate some of the ones that actually aren't providing very good value for those particular processes. So I think as we get more technology and more opportunity to do more video, we can maybe start doing some of that, really.
Sandro sort of talked about lean KPIs, so don't get us going on that one, but most companies have got result KPIs. They're trying to manage on a result, and they're not managing on KPIs that are related to the flow of work, the flow of activity, the connectivity between areas. So you need to design your metrics to promote the flow. What do we need to control in the process to get a good result? Most people are trying to just manage off the results. You need to know the results, of course you do. Well, we call it weighing the pig. It's trying to you need to know how much you feed in the pig and when and the frequency. So these process kind of metrics that are relating to that flow of work, and most people are not got those. They're not really thinking about what they need to control to get a good result. They're just trying to manage off the result.
Yeah, like Simon said when it was like team members are not interested in the cost of the car. It's more managing the cost of the gloves.
Well, they can't impact the cost of the car.
Yeah, that's right. But they can manage the cost of the gloves or the consumables. So that's what they need to focus on. So that's a more relevant KPI to help deliver that.
The right thing at the right level. Not having KPIs that they're not relevant to their work. I don't know, is there anything else on KPIs? We've got a great game that we got done, a cake game that explains KPIs to people and connects it to their process. So if you want to know about that, we can do that.
Yeah, mixing bacon and selling cakes, and
Yeah.
Okay, so as we said, the full 37-minute video for this is on our YouTube channel. I think it's up there already, Luke. There are a couple of other resources, learning resources. You can go onto the Lean Transformation Framework skill level 1 material
Knowledge.
on the learning platform on our website. So go to leanuk.org. There's a tab on the top that says Learn Lean. Drop down on that tab, and that opens up a whole load of materials and resources.
And that's free, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah,
The
that's
skill level
free.
one
Yeah,
is free. Yeah.
yeah. And then the other part, the other thing is that, you know, there is an opportunity to use the LTF questions, to think about them with Toyota. In the, you know, that's why we did this video today. So think of, you can go onto the events page, take a look at the Lean Practice Day and the Lean Summit. You know, I suspect this is going to end up getting sold out. You know, we've several companies that are saying, I want to put 10 people on it, I want to put 15 people on it. It won't take very long before that's sold out. And so so, you know, if you don't want to be disappointed, we'd like your money now, please, because that would really help us with the venue deposit that's due early part of next week. So
But having said
So
that,
then
Dave, the
book.
monies go directly to the charity for TMUK. So we're hoping
Yes,
to raise
yeah.
about £50,000 for TMUK's charitable trust.
Yeah, it doesn't go to us, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're not getting fat off the back of this. Every single penny from the Lean Practice Day is going to Toyota's charity. Last year we raised £18,000 for Toyota's charity, but with this event with 144 people, it'll be £50,400. So that's a pretty good sum. So okay, so we will let you carry on. I know there's 152 people still online. Amazing that we got 300 people at the peak of the thing, and didn't seem to bore you too much. So thanks ever so much. 2 other sessions that we're going to be doing over the next couple of days. We're going to go a little bit more in detail in the diagnostic. And we're also going to go a little bit more in detail in the 5 Lean Transformation Framework questions. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy
enjoy
the conference.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I know.